Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia Jay, and we are here live in Tampa at the Women's Final Four.
Let's go.
I'm here with Renee. She knows all about
Let's go.
Okay, she knows all about this tournament in the Women's Final Four. Obviously, national championships, like, you have all that on lock. So when you look at the teams that are in here, what is your advice to them? Because, I mean, some of them have never been in this position before.
Yeah, I mean, it always sounds good to tell people to enjoy the moment and all of that, but I know this is a business trip. So my advice to them is take care of business, honestly. I mean, because it's to say, oh, enjoy it. Yeah, right. Like, I'm getting ready for the game. You're dealing with the media. So that's one thing that I'm sure if it's a team's first time here, a player's first time here, you don't realize how much media is involved. You do media, you do events, you have photo shoots, you have open practices. These are all things that are going to take you probably out of your routine of what's normal and how you normally prepare. So the main thing is just to lock in and handle business, because you could get caught up in all of the fanfare and worried about tickets, your family's coming in town, and then not be as locked in as you would want to for the game. And so I think that's the hard thing of balancing it all, staying locked in, know your scout, know your job, and make sure you just play at your highest level.
So when you were balancing it all in college, how did you lock in?
Yeah, I got everything ready early. I know it sounds like basic, but it's like I knew my parents come to everyone in my family, my sisters. So making sure everybody, you got your merch. Don't be asking me for your merch at the time. You got your seats, you got your tickets, you got your travel plans, because once it gets to where I'm at the location of the Final Four, I'm unavailable. So that's kind of how I locked in. It's like social media was a little bit different at that point, but even still, once we got to the tournament, it was kind of like Facebook. I'm aging myself, but Facebook, it was kind of like you got to be off of Facebook in a sense of you just have to block out all distractions and all noise, because everybody's going to want a piece of you in a sense of just to know your thoughts, and not even a bad way. It's just everybody's here. They're excited. They might even just text you, yo, I'm in your city. That's, you know, that, and it's like, good, enjoy it. Because I'm not.
It's happening to me and I'm not playing.
Exactly. So. You see what I'm saying? And it's people wanting to connect. So you feel the excitement that's happening around you, and you just have to kind of insulate yourself just to make sure you stay focused.
Staying focused. Well, your UConn Huskies are definitely staying focused, and I know you bleed blue. Okay, yes. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that, but you bleed blue.
You can.
Okay, I can. So what is your advice to the UConn team specifically?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, we do have a number 2 beside our name, but it doesn't really mean much. I don't think that UConn is ever going to be the underdog when they're in a tournament. So I think prove everyone right. Like if I'm talking to the UConn Huskies, there's going to be a large group of alumni that are here right now. Every year there's a large group of alum that book their trip hoping that UConn makes the Final Four. You're here, and I always say prove people right. You know, prove that we talk a lot of talk. So I'm one of the alum that is I talk my talk, but I actually believe that this team is healthy this year. So take advantage of being healthy. I know what it's like when you come into a tournament and you're like, all right, if we can just put together a couple games and figure it out. It's not that type of situation. Every game now, UConn has been getting better. AZ's back. Sarah Strong is playing at an extremely high level, especially freshman of the year level. And then you have Paige, who's on her last go-round. I was in that exact same position of 1 year left. I had no championships going into my senior year. You don't want to leave without one. But you also, I mean, it isn't the end-all, be-all, but it does kind of feel like the end of the world when you're at UConn. But my advice would just be lock in and prove everyone right.
Well, you mentioned Sarah Strong, and she's definitely been proving everybody right with her play.
Yeah.
What do you think about her career, like moving forward?
Man,
if this is how she starts, where is Sarah Strong going to be?
I mean, you know you're in good company when all the records that she's a part of and breaking are Maya Moore records. You know, like, because Maya Moore was one of those players that out the gates, she was on my team as a freshman, and I knew she was that good. It was like, I'm not surprised at anything that happened in Maya Moore's career, because I saw Maya Moore at the beginning of her career, and it was crazy. It was just crazy to see. So Sarah Strong, to be even in that company, in that conversation, she comes from basketball IQ royalty with her mom. So we love a good generational talent, and she's exactly that. But I would just say, keep that same energy. You came out the gate swinging. There's no such thing as a sophomore slump when you're a superstar. So keep that same energy.
Yeah, keep the energy. Well, I know you always bring the energy. And one player that has been bringing the energy is Paige.
Yeah.
I mean, she is doing things that we have not seen on a basketball court. What do you think, like, her impact overall has been on UConn basketball?
I mean, Paige, I think she set a whole new era for UConn basketball in a sense of NIL. You know, like before, we knew that Diana Taurasi was great. We knew that Maya Moore was great. I knew that I could have a personality and energy that I could bring to things, but those weren't even an option because it wasn't a possibility. Paige shows what a superstar at UConn can look like and what being a superstar with the UConn brand looks like. I mean, that's a new thing, and she showed it at a high level because when you think of UConn players and even how Coach managed us as players, it's interesting because, like, those kind of things just weren't even a thing. You know, like brand deals, outside noise, we always kept it tight. But Paige, you see her all over the place, and people almost use it as a knock that she was too outside.
Yeah, too visible.
And she was too visible and doing too much. But right now, she's sitting here at the Final Four, and I don't necessarily know if I hear that same noise. So she's showing that you can be locked in and you can do both.
And don't you think that's just as much a part of being a player now than anything else?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, even Kiki Rice, UCLA's here, and I had that conversation with her about NIL and just balancing it all. And it is a part of the business now. It's something that you have to figure out as an athlete, usually after you graduate college, but basically it's just moving that timeline up. And I love it. I mean, what better way to go into your pro career than being prepared for exactly what's going to happen when you are a pro? And that's what's happening with them. So I think they're handling it well. You know, honestly, when you think of the scenarios, all right, what could go wrong if you give college players millions of dollars? There's a lot that could go wrong, but they're showing what can go right, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned NIL and how it wasn't a thing. What would you have done with NIL? I'm curious.
Oh, my goodness. What would I have done? What these people got going on back here? What is this? What we got? Where's the UConn fans at? Okay, UConn. Thank you. What I would have done with NIL is
we knew that was going to happen at some point.
I would have just had fun with it. Honestly, I think it's a blessing that you get to put your talent on display and you get to talk about the things you love. So if you're a sneakerhead, you could be doing deals with sneaker companies. For me, I like to have fun and be out there. So I know that I would have been probably more in the entertainment business. I think my NIL would have been cameos on TV shows, sitcoms. Abbott Elementary, I would have been banging their door down like, let me in. What's up?
I can see you on there.
I would have been, I think, went to the entertainment side of it all and just tried to be movies, Love and Basketball Part 2. Gina Prince Bythewood, if you're watching this, I would have been hollering at her. So, yeah, I would have had so much fun with it.
I mean, you still can. She's still doing stuff.
Never too late.
You're always doing stuff. So you can still do that. Well, another hot topic that is happening right now is people are talking about the transfer portal and how it has changed college sports. What do you think the impact has been from the transfer portal, and how do you feel about it in general?
Yeah, I think the transfer portal, we have to just, it's free agency. And so I think we have to start treating it like free agency in a sense of there needs to be caps. So there needs to be a salary cap because right now it's the Wild Wild West and there's no control over it. So having some type of control, and when I say salary caps too, it's like we're talking about players, there's coaches. So coaches, and they're moving and they're leaving. What is the buyout? You know, there's buyout for coaches contracts. What's the buyout for a player contract? Because the movement, I love that players are making money, but there needs to be some rules and regulations and parameters that protect everyone. And so I think that that's what's going, the transfer portal. I mean, right now, there's like 1,500 people in the transfer portal. There's 5,000 players on each side, men and women in basketball. So for 1,500 to be in the transfer portal, we're almost getting to a fifth of the group is starting to transfer every year. That's crazy. And so it's fine, but there needs to be some rules and regulations of how to manage it better. Just the exact same way pro sports are. We have free agency. We have times where you can recruit players. Honestly, the transfer portal should never open before the tournament is over. So that's first and foremost. If I'm trying to win a Final Four, I shouldn't be missing out on players because I'm focused on my team. And that's what's happening right now, where you're going to probably have to have a GM. Speaking of professionals, like everything is going to have to mirror a professional league because that's where we are. We're not in amateur basketball anymore. These are professional players that just so happen to go to school.
Absolutely. So you talk about it's professional players that just happen to go to school. What do you think the overall state of college basketball is, and where are you excited for it to go?
Yeah, I think that it's booming. You know, the main thing that we can see with college basketball is that the demand is there, the money's there, the investment's there, the talent's there. So it's just controlling it. I think it's limitless, especially on the women's side. We've always seen that the NCAA tournament is huge for women. and now it's carrying over into the WNBA because now fans are following their favorite college players into the pros. So I just think more of the same. We got March Madness became a thing on the women's side in 2022 officially. It's about time, thank you. But
no, that's right.
More of those things that just make sense. You know, like I think just making everything make sense. If you're doing it on the men's side, of course you should be doing it on the women's side. And that's what we're getting to, even with the revenue splits now. This is the first year that they're having a revenue split. I think it started at $15 million. So I just think making everything make sense. I don't know why it wasn't equally balanced in the beginning, but I think the next step for the future is just making everything level.
Well, the future, we're going to talk about these future games tonight. What are you looking? We know you're looking forward to seeing UConn.
Yeah.
But what else are you looking forward to seeing with these teams that are playing each other?
Yeah, man, I want to see good games. You know, like I think there's a stat that like maybe my 2009 championship game was the least watched game ever. We won by 30 points. So I think that there's something to that where I want to be one of these games where it's a buzzer beater, maybe. I know I'm being greedy, but I just want a close game. I would love a high-scoring game, but speaking of these matchups, South Carolina and Texas is probably not going to be a high-scoring game because these are two defensive powerhouses. So I'm looking to see who becomes a star. This is the stage is set. We talk about NIL. We talk about making money. There's no bigger stage than tonight. And so what does someone do with that stage and what players emerge? We know on the UCLA side, we know Lauren Betts is one of those players that if she stays on the court, she's tough. I mean, this is a 6-7 matchup that is hard every night. She's a defensive nightmare. She's an offensive nightmare. So she needs to stay on the court. And if you're UConn, you have a big three. We've seen AZ have an amazing game. We've seen Sarah have an amazing game, and we've seen Paige have an amazing game. Can they do that all on the same game and they all align and have this big moment where each player has 20-plus points across the board? And the same for South Carolina. Who's going to step up? Because they are truly a team effort, and that is great, but who's going to be the person that leads them in the star? And we know Madison Booker for Texas is going to be that one, but who's going to join her? So really tonight and the next game, championship game, is about all these teams are so evenly matched. Yeah. Who's going to step up and lead their team to victory?
What do you think it says about women's college basketball that they're so evenly matched?
Yeah. It's crazy because this word parity, oh, we love parity. And a lot of times it was at UConn's expense because UConn had just crazy runs with talent. Like Stewie's group run 4 in a row. That's unheard of. And I think people get fatigue, and we call it greatness fatigue all the time. I mean, LeBron is an example of greatness fatigue where he could have had multiple MVPs. Asia might start to be a victim of greatness fatigue where we see her doing amazing things on a day-to-day basis. And so I think people want to see parity where there's level, and that's where we are. So for the people that have been wanting this and screaming for this, we're here. I honestly have no idea who's going to win. I like, if I had to bet, I mean, I would pick UConn, and again, 26% of the brackets chose UConn, but would I be shocked if UCLA won? No. Would I be shocked if Texas won or South Carolina won? I would not. And so that's the point that we're at where anybody can win, and I think that is fun for people.
I like how you got that 26% of the brackets picked UConn in there.
I'm just saying because it's not just me. I mean, there's been years where I always want UConn to win, and I always am rooting for UConn to win. But if I have to break it down and be an analyst, sometimes I'm like, yeah, like last year, I was like, I think South Carolina is going to be a tough one to beat, you know? And so this is one of those years where I do want UConn to win. I wouldn't be surprised if anyone won.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? Like, everything is good.
Yeah.
All the basketball is good. We're watching some great basketball, and a lot of these players are going to be in the draft, and they're going to be in the W. You're part owner of the Atlanta Dream.
Yes.
What are you excited about this season with WNBA play?
Bringing in more stars. I mean, each year now, this is the thing about women's sports and women's basketball. Every year, there's going to be a mega star that gets added to the WNBA, and that only helps grow the league. Last year, we had a historical draft, and we saw these stars be exactly who we thought they would be, and that's what's exciting. You have young stars that come into the league and become stars in the WNBA, and I think it's going to be the same for Paige. I think that coming in as a rookie, she's going to be a rookie that makes a name for herself, and that's all you can ask for coming in. I mean, I remember my people over there falling. I remember my rookie season. It was crazy. Every night I was playing against a superstar. It was like I would play against Lindsay Whalen, and then I would play against Teacher Pinachero, and then I would play against Sue Bird. And it was like there's no nights off. So that's the difference from college to the WNBA. It's like every single night you're playing against a former All-American. You're playing against an All-Star. You're playing against just big talent. And so that's what Paige is probably going to be looking ahead to, and all the other players that declare for the draft.
Man, we are just in some good basketball all the way around.
We won.
Renee. We certainly did. We certainly did. I mean, you won by playing with the people that you played with and just establishing the league, you know what I'm saying, in college basketball in general. And now we're watching some of the most beautiful basketball that we've ever seen as well. So we do win.
Yeah, I think that anybody that's a fan of women's sports right now, we can talk our talk, because there's no conversations now. There's no rebuttals. There's no, get in the kitchen. There's nothing that trolls can say anymore, because the numbers back what we already knew. You know, like when you look at the comparable numbers, comp to comp, it's really growing at every aspect. So yes, we won as fans, but yes, we really win just as being a part of the game. I'm excited to just have laid a foundation and watching it grow.
Well, I'm excited that we got to talk with you today.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, Renee.
Okay, let's go.
Yes,
UConn fans is back here.
We got people excited, and I know you're excited too. Make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, do all of the things, because you want to get updates on shows just like this. And thank you, Renee, for stopping by.
We need to talk now, baby. Let's go.
Period. I don't know if I need to say anything else, but thank you for watching another episode of We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.